What's up, kings and queens? It's Dan from Daft Previews, back for another comprehensive preview of player picks for this upcoming 5-game slate. Our leans on players with easy matchups yesterday went 17-9, which have hit at 65% for 2 consecutive days. So let's get straight into that. All the picks, all the data that you're going to see is from props.cash, which is my go-to tool for finding player props. If you're interested, you can sign up today and get 25% of your first month by using code DAFT25 when you sign up. Let's get straight into it. We're starting with the Brooklyn Nets versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the very first pick, let me share my screen with you, is Donovan Mitchell over 25.5 points. So as you can see here, Donovan Mitchell has covered this line in 4 of his last 10 games, averaging 26.6 points per game. In head-to-head matchups against the Brooklyn Nets, he's covered in 2 of his last 4, averaging 26 points per game. Now, the Brooklyn Nets, they allow the 4th most points and the 7th most three-pointers made to point guards. The next player is Max Strus from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we're looking at his rebounds prop, over 4.5. The Brooklyn Nets allow the 3rd most rebounds to shooting guards. My apologies. In his head-to-head matchups against the Brooklyn Nets, he's covered this in 2 of his last 4, averaging 5.5 rebounds. Over his last 10, he's hit this in 4 of his last 10, averaging 4 rebounds per game. The next game, we're looking at the Boston Celtics versus the Milwaukee Bucks. The first player we're looking at is Dame Dollar. It's Damian Lillard over 24.5 points. The Boston Celtics allow the 6th most points to point guards. Now, over his last 10 games have been shit. 4 out of 10 games he's covered. He's averaging 23.7 points per game. Although in his head-to-head matchups, he's been quite successful, averaging 31.7 in 3 straight games against the Boston Celtics. Our next player, we're looking at Chris Middleton, and we're looking at his rebounds and his assist line, over 10.5. The Milwaukee Bucks, which is where he plays, the Boston Celtics, allow the 5th most rebounds and the 5th most assists to small forwards. You can see in previous matchups, he's covered this in 2 of his last 3. He's averaging 12 rebounds and assists in those games. Looking at his last 10, he's hit this in 4 out of his last 10 games, averaging 10.1. Keeping him on one of those games was a back-to-back. He played minimal minutes. Here it is there against the Spurs, 15 minutes. But outside of that, could be something that you like. And the other one, it's quite dependent on Kristaps Porzingis if he plays. I think, actually, I just got a notification he's out. So forget that. We're not talking about Porzingis in this one. So the Celtics have been relied on. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, key focal points of attack. They don't have the best matchup statistically, but who else is going to score some points? Heading into the next game is the Portland Trailblazers versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. There's a lot of players in this game that have a great matchup, so this might be a long one. But the first one is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, over 5.5 rebounds. The Portland Trailblazers allow the most rebounds to point guards. SGA's covered this in 6 of his last 10, averaging 6.2 rebounds per game. In 5 head-to-head matchups with Portland, though, he's only covered this once. Our next one is Scoot Henderson, over 3.5 rebounds. He's yet to play a game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, but the OKC do allow the 2nd most rebounds to point guards. Scoot Henderson, he's covered this in only 3 of his last 10 games, averaging 3.3 rebounds per game. Not one that I'm going to touch, but for those of you who love the matchups, you could see Scoot have a big game here. The next one is my man from down under, Josh Giddey, heading over to see his points and rebounds prop. Josh Giddey over 19.5. So Portland allow the most points and the 5th most rebounds to shooting guards. Giddey's covered this in 4 of his last 10 games, averaging 18 points and rebounds. Looking at the head-to-head matchup, he's covered in 2 of 4, averaging 20.5 points and rebounds in those matchups. He did only play them once this year, though, and he only scored the 10. So one to look out for. He's in a reduced role, getting less minutes. Another one is Anthony Simons. This could be a popular pick from cappers all across YouTube and Twitter. But look, Anthony Simons over 23.5 points. Now, OKC allowed the 3rd most points and the 4th most three-pointers made to shooting guards. Anthony Simon lives on these 3-pointers made anyway, so he's got a great matchup. He hasn't performed well against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the past, 0 from 3 in his last 3, averaging 14 points per game. But over his last 10, pretty decent. 6 out of 10 he's covered. He's averaging 24.6 points per game in that span. And the next one is Jeremy Grant. Not a play that I will be touching, but it's his rebound prop. Have a look at that. He's covered this in only 2 of his last 10. So it's 4.5 rebounds his line, or 3.5, depending on where you can get it from. The Oklahoma City Thunder allow the 4th most rebounds to power forwards. But have a looking at his form, he's more likely to finish on 2 than he is to hit anything else. But as you can see, if he has the right matchup, he can explode. 10-6 against the Spurs, but less than two rebounds or less against everybody else. In his head-to-head matchups, 4 games against the OKC Thunder, he's covered this in 3 of them, averaging 4.3 rebounds per game. So it's an interesting one. If he explodes for 6 to 8 rebounds, I'll be kicking myself for not touching it. But if he finishes on 2, I'll be laughing. The last one from this game is Chet Holmgren. Looking at his assists, over 2.5 assists. Portland are now the 4th most assists to centers. Chet's hit this in 6 of his last 10, averaging 3 assists per game. Didn't get it against Portland last time when they played earlier this season. Actually finished on 0 assists. But he does have a good matchup, and his recent form is much better now than what it was when they last played each other. Heading into the next game, it's the New York Knicks versus the Dallas Mavericks. And the first player with a great matchup also happens to have some great form, and that's Dante DiVincenzo from the New York Knicks. We're looking at his over 17.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Now, Dallas allow the 4th most points, the 2nd most rebounds, and the 2nd most assists to shooting guards. If you're looking at his recent form, he's covered in 7 of his last 10 games. He's been extra busy since that trade happened, and his recent form is absolutely crazy. So you can see it on the graph. He's covered it pretty much every game since the trade. Head-to-head matchups, he's covered in 1 of 3 games against Dallas, but he's always been very close. Now that he's in a bigger role, more minutes, more opportunities, we could see this one cashing. So this is what I'm strongly leaning towards playing. Just haven't put my money down on it yet. The next one is Derrick Jones Jr. And we're looking at his points prop in this one based off his matchup. And that's because the New York Knicks allow the 3rd most points and the most 3-pointers made to power forwards. Derrick Jones is perfectly capable of making 3-pointers, although he doesn't play very well when Luka Doncic is out of the lineup, and his recent form is quite bad. The next one is for Julius Randle. Looking at his points and his rebound prop here, Dallas allow the 4th most points and the most rebounds to power forwards. Julius Randle's covered 36.5 in 5 of his last 10 games, averaging 36.7 points plus rebounds. In head-to-head matchups, he's covered it 1 out of 2. His most recent matchup with the Mavs finishing on 47. And the last one in this game is for Isaiah Hartenstein. And we're looking at his rebounds against the Dallas Mavericks, over 10.5. That's because Dallas allow the 4th most rebounds to centers. As we know, Derek Lively, he's a game time decision. He's their 2nd best rebounder. Luka Doncic is their best rebounder, and he is out. So Isaiah could have a big game in this one. He's covered this in only 4 of his last 10, although he is averaging 11 rebounds in that span. Head-to-head wise, you're not going to see much. He's barely got any rebounds because he's only played 12 minutes per game in his last 2 matchups against them. Different role now, starting center for the Knicks. Dallas are depleted. Their top 2 rebounds aren't there. So Isaiah could have a big game. Heading into the best game on the slate, it's the Phoenix Suns versus the Los Angeles Lakers. The first player here with a great matchup is Austin Reeves, looking at over 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. The Phoenix Suns allow the most points, the 3rd most rebounds, and the 5th most assists to point guards. Austin Reeves has been in that starting spot for the Lakers for a couple of games now, so more opportunities for him. Looking at his last 10, he's covered this in 4 of his last 10, averaging 24.6 points, rebounds, and assists per game. Against Phoenix, he's hit this in 3 out of 6 games, averaging 24.8. The next one is for Devin Booker from the Phoenix Suns. Looking at his rebounds prop, over 4.5 rebounds. The Lakers allow the 6th most rebounds to point guards. Now he's 0 from 3 in his last 3 matchups against the Lakers. Sorry, that's Bradley Beal, showing you the wrong picture. Devin Booker, here he is. Yeah, that's much better. He's 2 from 3 in his last 3 against the Lakers. He's averaging 7 rebounds. Most notably, the matchup he played against them earlier this season, he collected 11 boards. Looking at his last 10, he's hit this in 2 of his last 10 games, averaging 3.4 rebounds. So his recent rebounding form, not great, but his form against the Lakers is great. Bradley Beal is the next one we're looking at, and we're looking at his assists. So the Lakers allow the most assists to shooting guards over their last 15 games. Bradley Beal's covered in 3 of his last 10. He's averaging 3.8. He's yet to hit this against the Lakers in his last 3 matchups. He's averaging 1.7. So form not great for Bradley Beal, but the matchup is excellent. Up to you whether you choose to play it. And the next one we have is Grayson Allen, and we're looking at his points and assist prop over 15.5. So you can see in 5 games against the Lakers, he's covered this once. He's averaging 13.4 points and assists. He is in a different team. So as a Phoenix Sun, he's played them twice. And over his last 10, he's covered this in 6 of his last 10 games, averaging 19.4 points and assists. The Lakers allow the 3rd most points and the 2nd most assists to small forwards. And then the final player with a great matchup here is the Slim Reaper. It's Kevin Durant. So we're looking at Kevin Durant over 4.5 assists. The Lakers allow the 5th most assists to power forwards. Kevin Durant's covered this in 8 of his last 10 games, averaging 6.4 assists. Head-to-head matchups in 4 games against the Lakers. He's covered in 2, and he is averaging 4.5 assists in those matchups. So that's a breakdown of all 5 games of all the players who have a great matchup tomorrow and the props that they have. If you did love that, let me know. As you know, powered by props.cash. If you're interested, you can sign up. 25% off. Use Daft25. Before we jump into my 3 best bets that I have for this slate, I want to give a shout out to Joseph Sigmund 2901 for his comment of the day on the last video. He said, best fucking sports betting YouTube channel. Always great insight and information. So good. Had to fucking join the Discord. Keep up the great content. Gives me a stiffy every time the notification bell rings. Now, I love that comment because even though the picks don't hit every single day, it's clear that you guys value the effort that I go through and all the insights that I share. It also made me laugh because despite being 33 years old, I still have a good laugh when sexual references are being mentioned. So keep that up. Keep me smiling. But if you do love what I'm doing here on a daily basis, smash that like button, sub to the channel. And if you're new, drop me a comment because you know I'm going to read them all. Let's jump into my best bets. I do have a few more bets in mind outside of what I share in this video, but I am waiting for some of those markets to open. If you do want to see what else I land on, you can jump into my Discord. It's completely free to join, and I share every single bet that I play. So let's go. Our first bet, Kevin Durant, over 37.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I am wearing my Phoenix shirt today. It's completely coincidental. I put the shirt on before I even made the pick, but let's talk about Kevin Durant. So he's covered this 37.5 point line in 21 of 30 games so far this season. He's averaging 41.9 PRA. His line for the majority of season has sat between 42 and 43. But now that we've got Booker and Beal both active in the lineup, we've seen KD's line drop under 40. Now, in 6 games with Booker and Beal in the lineup, KD's covered this in 4 of 6 games, averaging 38.2 points, rebounds, and assists per game. I like this pick for a few reasons. One, KD has made some headlines recently. He addressed the rumors about him wanting a trade out of Phoenix, being frustrated with Beal's injury, and the performance of role players within the team. He basically said that, he's just frustrated with losing, but he loves the grind and he doesn't want to trade. I also love his matchup today up against his old friend LeBron James and the LA Lakers. I think one point that this line hasn't taken into consideration is the motivational aspect of this game for KD. KD is clearly the second best player of his generation behind LeBron James, and he always comes up big against him. Now, in 3 games this season against LeBron, KD has put up PRAs of 52, 52, and 42. He scored 30 plus points in all games. And if the points, rebounds, and assist line isn't available or it's moved up over 40, I would take his points line. It's currently sitting around 25.5 to 26.5 at the moment. I would honestly play that up to 27.5, but I do like his rebounds and his assist line in this game too. So I thought I'd take them all. Now, talking about his rebounds, he's averaged 9 rebounds per game in the 3 matchups against the Lakers. And as I mentioned earlier, he has a great matchup with assists, given the Lakers allow the 5th most assists to power forwards over their last 15 games. I'll also be playing a value play on Kevin Durant. So it's your first time seeing this. A value play is pretty much the same game multi where we try to predict that player's stat line. If you get it right, you can get some pretty juicy odds, and it's generated 75% of our profit so far this year. So I'm taking Kevin Durant to record 30 points, 7+ rebounds, and 3 assists. I got that for $5.25, which is plus 425 for those of you in the US. And I took that bet for the reasons above. He's covered this exact line in 2 out of the 3 games he's played against the Lakers this season. He's a walking bucket. He's got excellent rebounding form against this squad, and he's got a great matchup for assists. So let's go KD, 30 points, 7 boards, and 3 assists. My next pick is for Damian Lillard, over 24.5 points. Now, Dame hasn't made any headlines at all as of late. Any and all talk about the Bucks, it's either when Giannis scores 40 points or the Bucks shit the bed and lose to the Utah Jazz or something like that. But look, more on Dame. He's covered this line in 19 of 34 games this season. He's averaging 25.1 points per game. His last 10 have been poor by his standard. He's covered in 4 of 10 games, averaging 23.7 points per game. He's still playing 35 plus minutes per game, attempting 17 shots, but his 3-point percentage has been down bad. Take a look at this graph. You can see he's had 4 consecutive games now shooting 25% or less from downtown. The 2 matchups against the Pacers, understandable. They only defend the 3-point line. They give up everything inside. But those games against the Spurs and the Rockets, they were just plain bad. Now, what better way to turn it all around up against the premier team in the East, the Boston Celtics, who Dame has had some success against in the past? I showed it to you earlier, but in his last 3 games against the Celtics, Dame's averaged 31.7 points per game, and he's covered this line in every single one of them, including his first appearance against them wearing a Bucks uniform. In those 3 games, he did shoot the ball 21 plus times on average. He connected on his 3-point attempts at only 31%. So we would need to see an uplift in Dame's shot attempts, but also in his 3-point percentage from his recent form if he's going to get there in this one. And I think he can do it. We know the Celtics, they're going to have their hands full with Giannis, and they've done a good job of defending Giannis in the past. They've held him under 30 points in 3 of their last 4 games. But I think the Bucks are going to be leaning on Middleton and Dame to carry more of that offensive load to keep up with this Celtics team. And Dame does have a great matchup in this. So the Celtics, they do allow the 6th most points to point guards over their last 15, and they have been pretty poor at defending them all year. Dame, this is also a home game. And at home, he's covered this line at a much higher rate. He also averages 3 more points at home compared to when he's on the road. He does catch the Celtics here on a back-to-back after an OT game against the Timberwolves. So look, I'm backing Dame to snap the cold streak of shooting and cover this line. So let's go, Dame. Give me 20 shots. Give me 4 to 5 3-pointers, and let's cash this bet. You know it. So those are all the picks. The picks are done. The preview is done, but the video is not. I still have a recap on yesterday's performance. It was absolutely terrible, I tell you that. But let me show you what we're working with, and let me cry for a moment. Okay, in the last video, I shared 4 picks, and all 4 picks lost. It was unbelievably painful. First one was Kyle Kuzma, over 23.5 points. He was shooting terribly. I needed him to keep shooting if we were going to hit this, but a part of me was like, stop shooting. You're so bad. So not happy with that Kuzma pick. It was a bad one. I did get probably overexcited by the matchup, but he played awful in that one. A bit hurt on the Zubac one. Had him over 13.5 points. He was 6 from 6 in his first 6 shots. Missed his only 2 shots in the 4th. Couldn't get to the free throw line. So pretty disappointed in the Zubac one. So we lost a bit there. And then the Clippers and Raptors, same game parlay. I said it on the video that James Harden assist is a great prop to take him over 9.5. For some reason, I chose to be a coward, and I played him for 8 assists, took the Clippers money line, and I took Scotty Barnes for 15 points. And I was wondering, like, I took Scotty Barnes for 15 points, even though earlier in that video, I did talk about RJ Barrett's recent form is great, and he has the best matchup offensively against the Clippers. And, you know, what do you know? Scotty Barnes sucked, and RJ Barrett went off his head. So another one-leg loss, another reminder that I shouldn't play so many same-game parlays. Part of the reason why I'm not sharing one in this video, but look, that hurt us. For the season, 48.7 units though. We're still over that 10% mark where I want to be, so we're 11.2% return on our investment. Would love to hit the value play today to really drive that up. If we jump into the analyzer to talk about what types of bets are doing us wonders, we can see here, same game multis, we're down 8.4 units. God damn. High value singles, we're down 2 units after Zubac let us down today. Player props are up 12.1 units, but these single player value plays, like the Kevin Durant one that we're playing today, they hit at 24% and we're up almost 47 units on those plays alone. Whilst I'm on here and I'm sharing this with you, let me show you what my personal one. So this is all the plays that I share in the Discord. 636 bets, 107.43 units. You can still see the losing bets that I had in there. But I did hit a value play today, which is Jaylen Brown, 30 points and 7 rebounds. Got 4.2 units out of that one. But I just wanted to show you the analyzer so you can see the same stats. We can see here the single player value plays right here. I've done 133 of them so far this season. I'm hitting them at 23%, but 72.6 units profit on those value plays, which is, I think that really separates me from everybody else on YouTube. Nobody else shares those types of plays. And look, I've got the data to back me up that they are profitable ways to play. You just have to find the right pick for it. But look, that's a wrap on today's video. Preview is done. Comment of the day, I didn't forget. Also remembered to mention the Queens in the intro. Did my best bets. We've done the recap. Now we're just going to sit back and wait, read some comments, pray for the bets to hit, and then we do it all again tomorrow. So look, if you made it this far into this video, thank you. I do appreciate you watching it all the way to the end. That's going to help me with the algorithm, grow this channel, and get this video out to more people. What else do you need to hear from me? Oh, it's that outro song. Here it is. I'll see you guys in the next one. Ta-ta.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.